back so soon.
Recording's in progress, by the way. Legally abided to tell you that. He's back by popular demand, and that's just the 25 people in my head. Okay, so imagine what my friends or in my family were saying.
I don't
The
know.
author of Still and our friend here at Los's Lounge, he is back for more punishment. Nah, you had a great time.
I had a great time. I had a great time.
Absolutely. I'm your host, Carlos Reyes, otherwise known as Los. I am telling you, I brought something back to the show. I can't wait to use it. I don't know if it's going to transfer well sonically in the final edit, as I've been let down before, but damn it, man, it's back. The one and only sound effects.
Oh no, you don't. All right, let's do it.
All right. One day I promise everyone to grow up. Today's not the day. Renzo, how are you feeling, my brother? Talk about it. Tell the world.
Oh man, I'm feeling good. It was July 30th was the 1 year anniversary of the book. It was also my dad's birthday. Had my uncle coming from Peru to go to my dad's grave, and the whole family got together. We're gonna get together later today again. So it's good times, man. It's really good times.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is pretty much part two of the previous episode. Happy birthday also to your father. Happy belated birthday. Rock the heavens. God bless him. God bless your family. A big up to first of all, let's just start. We're gonna start here, Renzo. This is where we're gonna start
Okay.
today. Actually, before I get into my madness, no, before I get into all the diabolical crap, tell everybody where we can find not only your book, but also tell us about your social media.
Sure. You can find my book on Amazon in hardcover, paperback, audiobook, as well as the Kindle version. The Kindle version, as I said before, 99 cents because art
Oh
should
no.
be accessible and inclusive. I can't make it free, so 99 cents if you want to pick it up. It's the cheapest I could make it. You can find me at Renzo del Castillo author, Renzo del Castillo author on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, under my name, Renzo del Castillo on LinkedIn. You can go to www.renzodelcastillo.com. The website is almost finalized, so that's really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And right here on Los's Lounge.
Hey, I'm honored. Harry's excited. I told him you're going to be back on, and he's thrilled. You made a really big impression. I know I was going to start on a more jovial side. I'm going to get to that. I haven't forgot about that. You made a really big impression on not. First of all, my parents, who I got a phone call like it was a little bit after 8 o'clock. Normally, my mom is knocked out by that time, and I hear the ending of the episode playing in the background. She's like, your
Oh,
father and I just watched this entire thing, and not only was it a great interview, we're very proud of you, but the guest you had on knocked it all the way out the ballpark. Like, wow.
wow,
Harry
that's
repeated the
really
same
nice.
thing. Several of my colleagues who actually support the show, I appreciate y'all, repeated the same thing. And so to the people that matter to me, you made a really big impact. So thank you for that. Thank you for the
I didn't
book.
know if I didn't know if I was gonna be invited back after the Madonna slander that got replayed on socials over and over, but
Oh, you know what? Where's my sound effect when I need it? Wait, how dare you, Bluetooth, die on me? Did you hear the Um, how dare you, Bluetooth? Okay. Damn it. Technology fails me again.
no worries, no worries.
Madonna and I, we spoke about you.
Oh
Um,
no.
and normally she has a thing for Latin men. You better be careful.
I,
She
Tell her I
wasn't too
loved her in
fond
Dick
of that though.
Tracy,
She didn't
you
like
know?
that shit you had to say. So on
I
behalf
loved
of the
her in Dick
queendom, we
Tracy. That
just
was
want to
the
let you know, don't let that happen again, Renzo. We ain't never liked you, Renzo. No, I'm just messing with you. Let's get right into my brother Renzo is back. I have to give a big up to your girlfriend for your I'm not gonna say it what we discussed privately, that's private, but a big up to you, Queen. I hope you listen to the lounge. Bro, man, I'm honored to have you back. So let's pick up where we left off.
Sure.
Still available everywhere and what have you. I want to start here, and then I'll ask you the question. Harry got heard the interview, watched the interview, what have you, and at the end of Brothers, he understood the message. I was like, "Yo, this is for you." So I got a nice heartfelt text message from him afterwards.
That's so
So
cool.
you really struck a chord there. I guess my first question is, when you get feedback, whether it's from me or from anyone, I know what that makes me feel like when I do something good. Talk about what that does for you, and also what does that do for your morale?
It's it's first of all, what makes me happy is that you guys were able to take something from the work that I put out and apply it to yourselves, and it was the beginning of maybe a conversation you guys had about how you feel about each other. I know you guys seem pretty close. I know you guys are probably talking or whatever, but just to be part of that narrative, that that love story, that fraternal love story that you guys got going on, it's
Oh,
just, it means
geez.
the world to me.
God, where's
Yeah.
my sound effect when I need it now?
All right. What? Was that a bad one or a good one?
I'm
Right?
just, it sounds so romantic.
But, but dude, like everything I think
No, we have an
that
organic
matters in this world
bromance.
is,
That's my brother.
yeah, it's tied to love, man. Like there's people out there, there's friends of mine that are my brothers, my sisters, like
Yeah.
I love them with everything I got. And just to be part of that and to be part of that discussion really means the world to me. Um, Also in terms of feedback, I just I'll take constructive. The only feedback I don't like is the one that's like I think I might have said it last time. This sucks. That sucks. This sucks. Right? Like, so tell me what it is about
Oh,
it you didn't
why?
like,
Yeah.
because that might lead you to something that you do like. So
Mm,
feedback is, to me, it's always a gift, right? The only thing I don't accept is just non-actionable feedback. Feedback I can't do anything with, feedback that you can't do anything with. If it just inspired you to think about something, then I'm happy,
yeah.
you know?
That's awesome, brother. Hey, I forgot to ask you, how did you sleep last night? Did you sleep well? Did you sleep so and so?
No, I slept great. We actually, speaking of my girlfriend, Gurbet, she invited me for the first time to Turkish night at a local Turkish restaurant here called Jazz Kitchen.
Uh,
And it was awesome.
Jazz
People were
kitchen.
dancing around the tables. They were playing Turkish music, great food. We were there with Burcu and Jem, good friends of hers that are becoming friends of mine, and it was just a great time. So after that, passed out.
Right, 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 right. The body talks afterwards, right? Uh, you know, I don't know. You just mentioned food, so what are you? Well, let's get to know Renzo before we get back to the
Sure,
book.
sure.
Favorite food.
Okay, I'm really bad at these lists, like the Mount Rushmores, because it changes. We talked about this last
One,
time, right?
yeah. Well, listen, we're gonna get back to that because that's part of my questions for today, actually. But
Okay.
one of your favorite foods, comfort
Well,
food.
I'm Peruvian, right? So Peruvian food. It's not because I'm Peruvian. Peru just has such varied ecosystems. They grow such diverse foods, right? You have from ceviche from the coast to carapulcra, which is a potato stew from
Carapulga.
inside Peru, like from la sierra, right, from the mountains,
What do you
or
put for
lomo
protein in that
saltado.
potatoes in the carapulga?
Sometimes they put pork, or sometimes you can just have the potato by
Oh,
itself,
gotcha,
with different types of seasonings.
gotcha.
Peru's just this. I mean, on our flag, there's a literal cornucopia, right? It's this cornucopia of different types of food, but I love, my mom's papa la huancaína has to be up there,
Palanca.
which is it's a potato dish, but with a cream, like a cheese-based sauce
Okay.
that they put on, which is just fantastic, right?
Oh,
So
cheese.
right now I'm craving my mom's papa la huancaína.
Mm, all right, all right. Damn, that sounds really good. What would be my favorite comfort food? Anything free.
Hey, yeah, yo. Back in college, there was nothing better than SpaghettiOs and tuna. You know what I mean?
Which is why we probably all have really bad, like either gastric intestinal issues now and all. Life is life, and at our age, and we're still young, we're still kicking it. I'm gonna start here, below the heavens. Last week's episode, you
I'm
introduced
so
below the
excited.
heavens to me, and I delayed and I delayed and I forgot until I didn't forget. So as I was cleaning and like really actually had time to listen, because when you listen to, especially with hip hop, you need to sit and listen, right? Because we did say it is poetry as well. And then you have certain rappers whose flow is just like you really need to pay attention because and you're lost in the fog. Anyways, I love the album. I'm gonna give you my favorites. Let's start there. And I
Okay.
marked them so I didn't forget them. So please bear with me here.
No worries.
Um, and I can't play it unfortunately because I might get sued.
Yeah,
We
we don't
don't want
want that.
that. Um, but a big up to this album. I'll say this as I'm looking for the songs. The album gives me 90s vibes, hip hop. I get Mischiefs of Soul. I get like early 90s New York, but also kind of like that late 90s vibe. I'm getting live instrumentation again, which is depending on certain hip hop artists or certain rappers, you don't really get that. Everything is so produced. Uh I know which one's there. Here there's My World Is, which is the opening track.
Great
Uh
opener.
Soul Amazing, Steel Blazing. Another great song. My favorite. Oh, I put a mark on Blue Collar Workers. Now that's to say that the other ones in between I didn't like. I did, but they didn't really resonate. And I wasn't really bopping like I was for this. My favorite song in this album, Dancing in the Rain. That was it for me. I was done after that. I
Beautiful
was like,
song.
hands down. I favored it. First Things First, featuring Miguel, and also Cold Hearted featuring Miguel. They have a good thing. A quick story, young man, about Miguel, if you don't mind. And then we're going to get back to you, young man. Miguel
No, no, I
opened
want
up
to
for
hear.
Alicia Keys in 2013 for the Girl on Fire tour. I had floor seats with the people I was with. Miguel jumped off the stage, literally runs right by me. I have my hand out. Miguel and his short ass. No offense if you're like under 5'4" or something, but he ran right by me. Now I felt really this, and I thought, well, damn, that's fucked up. That's my story with Miguel. The world is below the heavens. And that's my beef with Miguel. How about that? Bro, this was a great album. Harry did know, actually. I guess I'm late to the party. I guess I say that to say great recommendation. But what blows my mind is that it came out in 2007 and it's not giving me 2007. They are an old soul. Their stories, like I felt like a 20-year-old listening to it. The shit that they were talking about. It reminded me even of Lupe Fiasco. There were certain
Mm,
songs that gave me Lupe. There were certain songs that sounded like Common should have been on the beat. Not no disrespect to them. Anyways,
right.
we can go down a rabbit hole, but that's my critique. You heard it here first.
No, it's great, right? Like I'm gonna send you a Pitchfork article that goes into the history of it, but Blue, like he had meetings with Death Row. Like he was probably slated to
Oh,
fill in not that he like to say he would fill in, but like he was to kind of try to breach that gap that was left after Tupac passed away. Like it's really interesting, goes into the history and all that stuff. I'm gonna send it to you. I think you'll enjoy it. Maybe share it with Harry too.
all right. Well, shout out to that, everybody. Come on, Harry. Bluetooth is back. Season one, there were many of these ridiculous sound effects, but season one also sounded a hot mess. I never met a podcast host, such as myself, who detest their first season, but at the same time loves it. All right, let's get back to you. Still, are you doing any open mics in your area? Anything you
Yeah,
want to promote? Anything you want to talk about?
sure.
Because as
So
you go
there's
through
this.
your thing, you see that you do your thing. Talk about it.
Sure. So Miami has this great organization called the Miami Poetry Club.
Okay.
It's run by friends of mine, Sten and Micah, and it's grown. I've seen it grow exponentially over the last couple of years. And what they do is they host every third Monday of the month. There's an open mic called Palms and Poetry, and they host it at Books and Books, which is the biggest independent bookstore in Miami. They host it at their Coral Gables location. And I've seen it go from like 40 people to 90 people. They had to set a time limit for the open mic. I think it's no more than 25 to 30 poets now, but it's getting bigger. And I've seen one of the things that makes me happiest with that is people from Doral it's like a city in the Miami area. It's pretty close by. Like I've seen kids from high schools go and perform for the first time, and they've invited us to perform with the city of Doral and like all of these other really cool things that are growing from it. So I see it grow and as a space. So they have that open mic and they also have writing workshops to have people that are not confident in terms of their
Brilliant.
communication skills to go and to practice and write together in community. And then the open night is a great forum for them to perform it for the first time. So it hits the arts from multiple angles. So they're really cool. So that's an open mic
Yeah.
that I hit up. There was also an open mic with this group called oh, it's the name has changed. They were Barefoot Poets. I
Barefoot.
don't do the barefoot thing. And I think Ink and Flow is what they're called. They're taking a bit of a hiatus, but they also held like every third Thursday of the month, they held an open mic as well. There are various different open mics across the city. And yeah, no, I definitely perform and try to build community. My friend Cheska has an open mic in Fort Lauderdale as well, I think. The third Wednesday of the month. I'm not remembering the name, but Cheska Pao, and she's fantastic. Came from Brooklyn up, like that New York, like
Shout
slam
out to
poetry style. And
Brooklyn.
she's
Oh,
amazing.
sorry.
I wish I had like a clip that I can share with you guys. So Cheska is also somebody that's beginning her open mic right now in Fort Lauderdale. So it's spreading around. So definitely perform at a number of open mics.
And have you done stuff outside of Miami or Florida in general? Like whenever you get a chance, like maybe if you've been on a random travel and they had an open mic and you said, let me come over here and just rip shit and
Yeah,
just
yeah,
drop the mic
I've done
afterwards.
that. I've done that. Bali. I don't know if a lot
In
of people are
Bali.
interested in Bali. Like they're like Bali was awesome, man. Like I was actually in Bali with some friends. My friend was opening up a Korean spa and she invited I went okay, I'll take a step back. I went to a raw vegan yoga retreat in 2016 and I made friends with Frika and with oh my God, Sadi. And we stayed in touch. But there was always like a big connection. But you know how you stay in touch when you're like, hey, I like, let me just like your post or random hello or
Wow.
happy birthday or whatever. When Frika opened up her Korean spa, she hit up Sadi and I. Sadi lives in Melbourne, Australia, and told us, hey, do you guys want to come over? So we said, why the hell not? Let's go over and do that. So when we were in Bali in Canggu, right, in the Canggu area of Bali, we were going around and yeah, there were open mics and all that stuff. But the coolest thing that I did, there was a karaoke night at a bar for deaf people, right? And it was just, I like the concept was interesting to me because it didn't necessarily make sense, but everybody was there enjoying themselves and having fun with the music. And I ended up doing the prayer with this girl from I think she was from London, but I was Celine Dion and she was in Bocelli, right? It was hilarious. But it was
Oh,
just
I
like
love
this
that song, by the way.
inclusive,
I know exactly what song you're
beautiful
talking about.
song. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
beautiful song. But it was just yeah, when I get to travel, I do hit up open mics. I try to perform in the language. If I know the language of the place I'm at, I try to do a poem in that language. Or if, English is a great equalizer across the globe. A lot of
yeah. Right.
people speak English, so do that. But yeah, any chance I get to interact with people, man.
That's awesome. They performed that song together, by the way. You didn't ask for this, but here we go. Do you remember VH1 pop-up video?
Of
Pop-up
course.
video. Bloop, bloop.
Yo. Hmm.
That's me. They performed that at the 1999 Grammy Awards that
Yeah.
year. And they actually won. If I'm actually, that was the whole era of Celine Dion. What wasn't she winning? I have a few things actually. My other question going back to Still is you put everything you have in here, right? And whatnot. But my question to you is what is the back catalog? What is the stuff that's not printed into book? Like, do you have like books and notebooks of just poetry that you have stored away
Yeah, I do.
and are you going to release more? Are you going to do
I
more?
will. I will. The next book that I'm working on is there was my publisher did a short story anthology called A
Okay.
Winter's Warmth.
Okay.
And I hadn't, it was also published last year.
Okay.
And I had never done a short story. Um, and I was like, cool, let's try it. So I did this story where I don't name the protagonist, and it's just a couple in bed in a winter's night in France having a conversation.
Okay.
And they delve into predestination versus free will, religion and sin and all of these concepts and destiny, etc. And I really enjoyed it. So I thought I have an idea for a book of short stories where, or a novel, but I have to figure out the literary device to tie it, but like little vignettes of different conversations that are inspired in moments of my in my life,
Mm,
but
speak on it,
but
King.
dealing with abstract concepts or, existentialism or feeling persecuted or anything of that and exploring those themes within those conversations, right? And then seeing if it's just a book of short stories or if I can find a literary device where I still don't name anybody, maybe not even in chronological order, but there's a thematic narrative thread that takes you through and makes it something complete. So that's something I'm playing around with right now. And a book of poems, it's just putting them together and editing it again.
Just gave me an idea. Maybe I could do that. Do you know how many
Of course you
love
can do
letters
that.
I've had from my old flames? I'm talking about when we used to write when people weren't doing this. Jeez,
Yeah.
maybe I could like sell it to like Lifetime or something. It'll be
Dude,
interesting. Uh,
I honestly like I don't dismiss it. If you have something that you want to explore, that you want to put out there, if you have something to say, go ahead and do it.
my legacy, I always say this to Harry and Jasmine will tell you, I don't have kids. I always say I really don't have much in this life but my parents and my close friends and my family. And that's more than enough, right? But I want to leave behind is my passion. And this was one of my passions. But being a creative is the ultimate thing. So when I'm no longer here, my family and the younger ones um will play it, hopefully. I mean, I don't know if anybody from my family's listening now, bastards.
Well, we know your parents listen.
Come
So,
on now, come on, support, come on,
yeah,
support, mommy and
we know
daddy.
your parents.
Look, no
Yeah.
one else is gonna hold you down the way your parents will. We talked about this last episode. Let's talk about lingerie. Pause.
Uh,
No Diddy.
okay, I before we go on to lingerie though,
Well,
I just
you
want to put
wrote
a
it.
no, I want to put a pin on it. Let's connect offline. I can connect you to my publisher or others and see
Okay.
about exploring that for you because I think that's a great idea. I would love to.
Oh,
I would
God
even
bless
be an
you.
advanced reader if you'd like me to. I think it's a
Oh,
great idea. I think you should put something out there, man.
I appreciate you, brother. Thank you. God bless you. Damn it, man. Now I can't even talk about lingerie after that.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
Now
We'll
I
bring
gotta
you
find
back.
a heartfelt one that I had notes on.
No, we can
All
talk
right,
lingerie.
from brotherhood, from synchronicity over to lingerie, page 18. Jeez. Now this is me really just come on now, Renzo. Talk that talk. You want to do it or I want to, or will you allow me to do it?
I would love for you to do it. I actually this just to give you a little bit of a backstory. When I did my book
Which
release,
is the
and
question. What is the backstory? Go.
well, this is in the poem, not necessarily for the poem, but when I did my
Oh,
book
okay.
release, one of the things that I was important to me is I had 12 local Miami poets come and read selections from the book
Okay.
because in that way their audience came and discovered me, but my audience went and discovered them. And everybody has a different way that they read and perform the poem, right? Remember what we talked about last time,
Yeah.
thesis, antithesis, creating new meaning, new synthesis.
Right.
So my friend Paul, the loon from the moon, Paul Lunaire,
The
he's a
moon from the moon.
great guy. He has this like really bluesy, raspy voice. He talks like
Oh,
this. He's a shorter dude, but he's like, yeah, he sounds like he's 7 feet tall, right?
got you.
And he did lingerie, and his performance of lingerie is so different from mine. And it was just amazing. So if you would do me the honor of reading it, I would love it. It's
I'll
just a
read it.
gift to me.
I it might be the gift or the curse. Uh, I don't know how performative I can do lingerie right now, but let's go. 3:33 a.m. is the worst hour. Everyone I know is asleep or fucking. They can't be making love, not at this time. Minchkin preaches. Oh, here we go with the other big words. Damn it, man. This is the curse part. Can you say that?
Dostoevsky. Dostoevsky.
Dostoevsky. All right, I got to go back. Minchkin preaches Dostoevsky dogma, but only for a little while. I'm not fond of idiots, unable to muster enthusiasm for someone else's ideas on how I should live my life. I'm going to repeat that because that's a bar right there. I'm not fond of idiots, unable to muster enthusiasm for someone else's ideas on how I should live my life. You know that. You know almost everything except that you don't know much at all with your cigarette tongue, your Walmart apologies, and your Victoria's Secret sex. Where's my sound effects when I need it? I have to hire a producer for this show. Damn it, man. All right, Renzo, take it away. I have nothing else to say.
Man, I was just not in a happy relationship, right? And
Oh,
I was not in a happy relationship at that time, and I, I wasn't the person I am now. So
okay.
I don't really like talking ill of anybody because they're not here, right? But let's just say I was in an unhappy relationship. I felt trapped, but I really trapped myself. You can get
Okay.
out of anything. You don't know anybody, anything. And
Bars.
I was just expressing it, right? There's some references to there's this book by Dostoevsky who wrote The Idiot, and Prince Mishkin is the main character. He's a Jesus figure, right? And the whole
Okay.
premise of the book is would Jesus be appreciated during its time, and that's in the 1800s, right? But like, would Jesus be appreciated now, or we think he's an idiot? Turn the other cheek, give, live for others, acts of service, give to the poor, that sort of thing. And the character of Michigan is this very kind person who everybody refers to as an idiot because he does live that kindness, right? So that's why Michigan preaches Dostoevsky's dogma, a religious term,
Okay.
blah, blah, blah. I'm not fond of idiots. So it's just an allusion to the book and like the themes that are explored there and how they applied to what we should be, right? He's called an idiot because that he's not acting as expected in this relationship. I'm not myself. I'm not acting as expected. Um, so it's just an exploration of the resentment that grows when you can't express yourself.
Mm, mm. Damn it, man. Was she really shopping at Walmart?
That's when we had money, right?
Nothing
Back when you're a college student, financial aid is everything.
wrong with Walmart, though. I'm just saying. I got to tell you, speaking of Walmart, and this has nothing to do with this, but here we go with my Papa videos or whatever. Um, I went to Walmart, brother, for the first time in like years. I don't go to
Okay.
Walmart for anything. I've never had such a bad case of social anxiety, like, and just and sensory overload, and just it was just walking into a tornado of blech. That's my story with Walmart. Uh,
Los's Lounge, sponsored by Target.
come on now, come on now. Um, hey, one of the things that this is the wrong notes. I need to look into today's episode here because I do have structure here. And you talked about this earlier a little bit. And then I want to play a clip for you. Oh, you know what? I don't want to forget. One of my good friends is a poet as well and an
Mhm.
accomplished writer like you as well. Her name is Lynette Elizabeth Johnson, and I encourage you and everyone else as well. She's actually on a previous episode, which the video episode is on the YouTube channel. So I just wanted to show my girl some love. Her name is Lynette Elizabeth Johnson, and she has several books. One of them is called Purple. The other is called Only Love Can Do That. She has Supreme, and I've been meaning to tell you something. So I wanted to throw Lynette a little bit of love on this episode from a poet to another poet. And don't forget, everybody, you can find the book still hardcover, paperback, or the Kindle for how much, Renzo?
99 cents for the Kindle.
You cheap bastards. Get the
Nice.
hardcover. Don't be cheap. Don't be cheap. Renzo's got bills to pay. I mean, they're paid, but we all got to get in our bag. Don't be cheap. Get the hardcover. Stocking stuffers, birthday gifts. Maybe you need to sit your ass down and be still. Someone send this to Jennifer Lopez right now.
I've been seeing your social media. I got to understand. I know we got the
Talk
Miguel
about it.
story. I want to understand the J-Lo story.
Nah, it was just for fun. It's just where you know what it is. I have a ridiculous sense of humor that has not reached where my age is at 42. It's still trapped somewhere in 2002, and these are the things that I post.
Fair enough. You're still with Jiggly. Got it.
What to say after that? He's like, I'm never coming back here again. Um, right now, this week we talked about last week. The hip hop Mount Rushmore always changes, brother. Right, for us individually. Um, so we did talk about that last week. I'm curious to know what about in sense of movies. What do you think? Like, well, what kind of films does Renzo watch, and who is on your Mount Rushmore of actors,
Oh my
actresses?
God.
And I know that's a random thing, but we do this pop culture talk,
No,
man.
I like
Both of
film
you.
is a I think we're very heavily influenced by the movie. Yesterday, last time we talked, I said we're made up of the pieces of everybody we've ever loved, right? Your favorite
Yep,
movies, your favorite songs,
it's true.
all of that stuff is tied to us. So
It's true.
I can give you a top five, I guess, that changes a lot. So on that, the Lord of the Rings trilogy is up there for me. I just think it's like the way he adapted that incredible text that's this thick into three different movies. You remove like the Tom Bombadil stuff and just make it flow and entertaining, no matter how many times people have complained that it has 17 endings. I think it works pretty well.
Ah,
Lord of the Rings is up there. The Before trilogy as well. I know I'm cheating by throwing three in there, but Richard Linklater did Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, Before Midnight, and it takes place. The first movie is about a couple that meets on a train, and they get off in Vienna and they spend the night walking.
Okay.
just through the city. So it's the two leads, Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy, and the city of Vienna. And then the next one is in Paris 9 years later, and the next one is in Greece 9 years later. So it's like, where are these people in their lives? Did they stay together? Did they go apart? And it's just a very dialogue heavy film, and I think it's beautifully shot, beautifully acted, great script, very intelligent.
Okay.
Um, that's up there. Oh man, I love Gladiator. I love that movie.
Ah, yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
movie, that movie
Who's
is
that?
up
Russell
there
Crowe,
for
right?
me.
Correct?
Yeah, Russell
Yeah.
Crowe, and I'll give you another one. And this is always hard because I've been watching the AFI like top 100, so I have a number of movies in my head. But in my all-time favorite list, so there's and
You would agree
oh
that
man,
Spice Girls Spice World would be number one on everybody's list.
that might be Roger Moore's best performance.
I mean, come on now, Roger Moore.
That might be Roger Moore's best performance.
Jeez.
I really love the bicycle thieves, the I ladri di bicicletti, the Italian new wave film from like the 1940s or something. It's
Okay.
just a beautiful movie.
Okay.
You should definitely watch it. It's very very good. And that's it right now. Tomorrow it'll be different, you know.
Look, we're gonna invite him back next week. He'll say E.T.
I love ET, man.
I do too, but I mean, I've got questions. We'll talk about that next time.
We will
Uh,
talk about it. Oh, well, quickly. What are yours, man? What are the
my
movies that
my
you love?
favorite movies.
Yeah.
Oh,
Top four right now. Your Mount
top four
Rushmore
right
right
now. My best friend's wedding, Julia Roberts. That's always gonna be number one. I'm sorry, I
now. Okay.
can't deny it. I'm a true writer. You don't wanna. Um, Star Wars, but in particular, I don't know that because there's so many. It's the later one. It's the one where they're fighting Kylo, who is
Okay.
the son of Hans and Princess Leia.
Oh,
So
I'm very
either
familiar. That would
yeah,
be on my top four at some point, but it would be Empire. Empire
Empire
Strikes
Strikes
Back.
Back for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
See, I like that. I like that though. That's that particular story, the Kylo, those, and then it goes into Luke Skywalker, and then she goes to get him for the next one so that she can. Fascinating, fascinating. Number three, oh, brother, I haven't really sat down and watched a movie in so long though. So I'm gonna
Just you want to say
Boomerang.
Angels in the Outfield. You want to say Angels in the Outfield, just say it.
No, never seen
Just
it.
say it.
I never
It's
watched it.
back
Is
on
that
Disney
Kevin
Plus.
Costner?
No, it's God, it's Danny Glover, Christopher Lloyd, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Like it's this movie that's been away for a long
Of
time that
course.
my sister's been asking me when it's going to come out, and it's finally out on Disney Plus. So I was just joking. So you said Boomerang.
Boomerang, Eddie Murphy. Oh, I know. I just watched it the other day and I felt 16 again. Not even. I felt 12. Clueless. Are you kidding me?
Clueless
So
is
see,
fantastic.
look, we're just two different people, Renzo. Okay, you're gonna
Nah,
leave
man,
me all the way alone.
Clueless is a great movie. I
Yeah,
think it's
Eddie
very
Murphy Boomerang. It's iconic. I mean, Grace Jones, Strange. Come on, that changed my life. Changed your life
that
too.
Grace Jones scene.
This is the
Yeah.
essence.
Yes.
Throws the
So good.
underwear. All right. One thing that blew my mind this week, and I want to play this clip, and I'll try not to play it, and I know it's going to kind of transfer off a little bit bad over the mic, so I do apologize. I don't really have like a mixer or anything, but we've survived almost 4 years without one. We're gonna get by another four. Is this thing, Renzo, and please forgive me, but again, we do discuss pop culture on here, just things that happen. But there's this couple who, and I have to pause this couple who did a DNA test after 50 years of marriage, 50. And the husband took the wife to get a DNA test. And this is what happened. And please tell me if you can hear this well.
I can't hear it at all.
You can't hear it. Okay. Make a long story short, I knew that was going to translate too well. See, if the Bluetooth speaker would have still been on, that would have been flawless. After 50 years, all three kids, and the guy says to them, I knew something was up because all of them are ugly. Now, this is like a dude that's like, he's really you're not gonna be able to see. They're old. And so the judge is like baffled. My brother, all three DNA tests came back, he was not the father. So the guy goes, well, we got, we got all the excuses the wife gave. He says, we got a mailman, we got the maintenance man that came to fix the washer X amount of years ago. Who's the third one? It's crazy. What are your thoughts on that? Because that's just crazy to me.
My thoughts is that
We're not here to
we
judge,
need
but I'm just asking
no,
you,
no, we need Maury. We need Maury to get to the bottom of it.
where are my sound effects?
We he's left a really big hole in society by not being around to get to the real questions.
Can you
I guess
imagine,
what
Renzo?
I think what it does, like aside from like damn, it just makes me incredibly sad that they couldn't communicate. Right. I honestly believe that couples cheating, all that stuff is like I've never done it. But I think it comes from a point where you can't connect with your partner, you feel distance from your partner. A lot of people that cheat, I think there were some studies done. I'll find the annotation and send it to you, but it's not necessarily that they find people that they consider more attractive to cheat with on their partner. It's that they have some sort of gap, something that's missing in their relationship.
Mm,
Or it's something to fulfill an excitement that they're missing instead of just, I think it's so easy to say, hey, I'm not feeling you right now and I'm attracted to someone else. Okay, let's talk about it. Right. So for them to have that three kids, um, a relationship that sprung three kids, and I don't know, like if that guy raised them, I think he's the father. Like in that sense, like if you raise somebody and you love them and you bring them up, who's the father, right? The biological father or the person that brought you up? I don't know how
could
much
you
he loved them if
sue
he's
for
calling
all
them
that money
ugly.
paid back?
Yeah. No, or I don't know. Like I
I'm being
think for me
facetious.
that if I was that dude, I'd be heartbroken, right? Like I've loved all these
Absolutely.
kids thinking one thing my entire life, and then
Absolutely.
it's not. I mean, he did call them all ugly, so I don't
He
know how much
certainly
he
did.
loved,
And I
I
wish the
don't know
clip would
how
have
much he
played
loved them.
because
But it's just that
it was pretty interesting. It was
I just think it's
pretty
like this
interesting.
this this big lack of communication. I also think it's fucked up, but like you said,
Yeah.
we're not judging.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, I don't know. God bless them, but it just blew my mind that that even happened. Now let's get back on track with life. Uh, if if you weren't writing a poetry book, what kind of book would you be writing? I feel like you have other published work, don't you? Or no? Did we
Yeah,
talk about that the last time?
I have the short story published that I talked about, and
Yeah.
I have other poems published in anthologies. I have poems published in journals, but I think for the most part, they're in this book. They're just, I have an annotation at the bottom of the poem that says previously published in blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
But I really like, I don't know, man. Like I think something like books like Life of Pi or Don Quixote or like there's just certain or like the anything Junot Diaz writes, right? Like any like
Juno
this re
Diaz.
like realistic stories with a bit of magic in them. I
Okay.
think, like, because I honestly think science is just magic is just science we haven't explained yet. Like I would rather live in a world where we believe there's a bit of magic, right? So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
heightened realism,
Yeah.
but dealing with actual issues that occur, that's probably what I would be writing if it wouldn't be poetry.
Speaking of magic, I love the word magic, and I love one of my favorite hip hop albums recently was and again it's still poetry, so let's talk about it. Nas Magic. Are you a big Nas listener?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Ever since Somatic, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he had the poetry game, just everything locked down. But uh Nas's KD1, KD2, KD3 in particular is my favorite. But Magic 1 and 2 and 3 are phenomenal. I think they should just give him a Grammy just based alone on dropping six incredible albums in 2 years. I mean, we know Grammys are not really uh,
Yeah.
validation of anything, but when I say the word magic, one word association game that's going to turn into a spiel. But get
Okay.
ready. When I say the word to you magic, what do you think about?
Card tricks.
Card tricks. Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. I think
No,
about oh,
no. I mean that was my first thing. But when I think of magic, I think ethereal, right? Like the thing that
oh,
exists in threshold space is something that's ethereal.
there
Um,
we go. Yeah.
yeah. So magic is just this little bit of faith, man. I don't know. I'm giving you too many words, so yeah,
No, it's
I went with
great.
card
But
trick.
what if I told you I can like, present to you magic in a bottle by our friends over at Magic Mind who are
Oh,
sponsoring this
man.
episode. He's looking at me like you dork. You're
No,
such a dork.
hey, I'm glad to do it. Let's get some bills paid.
Let's
Go
do it.
ahead.
No, because listen, and I'm gonna tell you, and you know this, you're always on the go. I'm always on the go. Lifes. We wear many hats throughout the day. We can't be fabulous all day long. We actually have to get to work and do things, but you can be fabulous and do things at work. But seriously, though, I'm really excited because Magic Mind is sponsoring this episode, and our friends over at Magic Mind have created a mental performance shot to add to your addition to your daily routine that gets you into the focus, mentally clear, motivated, and productive sense. Also, while reducing stress with mushroom nootropics and plus over 100% of your daily vitamin C and D per bottle. Hey, it's 100% safe, no quick fixes. Instead of relying on quick fixes, we believe that mental performance must be tackled on a long term. I agree, man. Because you know what? Let me tell you. Sometimes I don't know about you, Renzo, but midday sometimes I'm ready to just like, oh, I need a big nap. And then you're still not even done with the work. We still have things that we need to get going. But our friends at Magic Mind have created an incredible elixir here. It is, let me just tell you, it's 100% carbon neutral. And they donate 5 cents for each bottle sold to mental health charities. Now, Renzo, I know mental health is big for you, right? Right? We
Yeah,
want to take
huge.
care of ourselves. It's definitely one of the big umbrellas here at Los's Lounge, and it's something that I believe in. So right now, go to magicmind.com /Los Lounge, LOSLOUNGE, pod, POD. And you can claim a free 3 sample pack using the promo code Los Lounge Pod, LOSLOUNGPOD. Get your free 3 sample pack mailed to you right now over at our friends Magic Mind. I got to tell you, I really do appreciate them. This has definitely been helping me. I encourage you, Renzo, to give them a try as well. And don't forget, it's magicmind.com, promo code LOSLOUNGEPOD. Dry mouth
I'm
now,
gonna do it. I'm
and I'm
gonna
just
do
gonna
it.
do it. Shout out to Magic Mind. Come on now. That came in really good time because my mouth was drying up as I was talking. And I'm like, I'm either gonna have a little bit of like Bob Olsoness going on over here, or something's gonna happen. I don't know what's going on. Magicmind.com. Back to the show. Uh, and back to my notes here as well too, because I do like to have a little bit of structure. Otherwise, my mind goes, hey man, I'm not interested to know who you're voting for. That's none of my business. Religion and politics are always off the table. But since it's my show, I'm gonna put myself out there. And talk about what this time in this country means to you. Not so much the actual election, but
Sure.
what this time and what it feels like for you, being and seeing everything, hearing both sides of the party, but not only just the nominee and the actual well, the vice president, Madam Vice President, just feeling the different energies in Congress, the Supreme Court, and everything that's changed in our country within the last 2 years. Talk about what that experience is like for you.
It's challenging, right? Look, we don't have to talk about it, but I'm an immigrant. I would not vote for Trump, despite the fact that there's a lot of immigrants who would. And that for me is I'll tell you a little story, right? I have an aunt of mine who's very successful, and she leans towards the right, right? She's very fiscally responsible. She's made a lot of money. She would vote for that. And the beauty of it is we can have disagreements, and I'm not attacking her as a person. She's not attacking me as a person. We can talk about how different policies affect us, and we're still family. We still love each other,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
seems
yeah.
to be not the norm here, right? Because my identity being tied to a figurehead, um, it's easier for us to dismiss the person, right? Because I'm liberal for a lot of things, but I'm conservative for other things, right? I'm not on everything in a ticket the way I wouldn't be on everything on the other side of the ticket. So we have this conversation, and I asked her one question, right? She has a niece that's like her daughter. She raised her and all that stuff. And I said, Tia, would you leave, I'll leave the names out. Would you leave, my cousin, your niece, alone with Trump? She said, no.
Mm,
In a room for like 5 minutes, she said, no. And I'm like, so why would you leave your country alone with him?
mm.
Like if that's the reaction that the personality gets, like what makes you think that that's okay, right? And again, I have my own reasons. I'm not judging anybody for doing what they do. But I have a big problem with the rhetoric of hate being used to type policies. I believe in the separation of church and state. Nobody's legislating on my testicles. I don't believe I should have any rights to legislate over a woman's body if they have a choice. It's a choice. What
Yes,
they want to do,
I
it's the
agree.
choice, right? Um,
There are
a
women
lot of
everywhere
issues, right?
watching this, applauding you right now, Renzo.
No, I
No,
like
I'm just teasing. I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
it's just very I don't know, man. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah. It's a
believe
complicated
that
issue.
yeah, I believe that it's happening right now, and I see a lot of people who are Hispanic or black or underrepresented, and they're, in my view, voting for something that goes against their best interest. But I don't know them. I don't know what they believe their best interests are. And that has always been a
Yeah,
bit confusing for me, which is why I like engaging in dialogue to try to understand where people are coming from. Because if not, it's just going to be my solution is this, your solution is this. Let's get together. Like, for example, I personally believe, I voted for Biden last term, and I believe that he reneged on a lot of his campaign promises having to do with, his environmental plans or
mm,
debt forgiveness for student loans and a lot of these issues, right? That I have a problem with. So it's like nobody is like perfect, but there's policies on Trump's side. Okay, I guess to get controversial, my belief is that Joe Biden is the most Republican president we've had since Reagan. But because the discourse has shifted so far to one side, he looks like a liberal, right? When you look at his
mm.
policies and tie them into Reaganomics, just go from it from a scholarly perspective. It is my belief that he is very entrenched in that role. So everything is shifting and changing. And I just honestly believe, like, why don't we talk about what the true issues are so that we can solve them together?
Sure.
I have a big problem with what's going on with the Supreme Court in terms of what they did at the presidential immunity, because we were founded on the belief that we are not above the law, that
I
nobody's
agree.
above the law.
I agree.
Uh, and what has been set up is just very troubling for me because I came from, like, again, we talked about the South American civil society. Um, Power shouldn't go unchecked, right? We need to be able to do that. So it's a challenging time. I just hope that we as a society, as a country, can come together and have difficult conversations to find a way to get to the most beneficial outcome for the country as a whole. And if we are doing good, then hopefully we make sure that the rest of the world, the ones that we interact with, are also doing good. All those things I talked about myself in term like in the micro, like trying to leave somewhere better off than when you found it. I would hope that it expands to the macro, right? If
Yeah.
we can do that. So
I
not
think
to get
one
too
way.
deep into it, but I
No, no,
wanted to
no.
be clear.
That's a great answer, I think one way to also help it get into the macro is the artist's responsibility, in terms of helping create change and helping making sure that we don't reverse the hands of time. And I think it's a every artist, whether you're a poet, actor, writer, dancer, what have you, this is the time to this is the time when an artist really needs to be an artist. We artists are here to disturb the peace, to quote James Baldwin, and that's one thing. But it does it. I mean, I'm wearing the shirt. My mom. Shout out to my mom. Um,
She got it for you? That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. I went over yesterday to say hi and hang out, and bam, Kamala. And I'm with it. I'm with it. I mean, I had a brother honk at down the road. He was like, yes. It's so it's nice. It's a nice sense of urgency, energy. It's for me this time around. It's very reminiscent of kind of even how I felt when Obama was going to
Well,
be
that's
elected
that's that's
too.
the
Like,
Obama like hope shirt, right? It looks
yes,
just like
exactly.
it,
It's
right?
themed. So there it
Yeah.
is. I don't know. We'll see how it all plays out. I don't, I'm not going to pick your brain too much on politics or really get too much into it. But I will say, I wish I heard regardless of what side. I'm hearing it now more so with her. I feel like they just got a fire lit under the Democratic Party's ass, which is needed in this country. But I'm hearing more policy talk now, at least coming from that side. But for a while there, we wasn't hearing policy anything because it was just you're
Because it's a
bad. No,
cult of
you're bad.
person.
No, you're bad. No, you've done that.
Yeah, and
It's just like,
it's a
oh,
cult of
Dios
personality,
santo,
right?
what
Like
happened to the US?
that's what I hope that we come away from like this is my person and I believe in them because they're my person versus like how do they feel about the environment? How do they feel about gun laws? How do they feel about immigration reform? How do they feel about the middle class and getting the, the economic powers moving forward again? And like because we can definitely see like the middle class is definitely almost disappeared. What are we going to do about distribution of wealth? Those things, or infrastructure, roads, hospital, like those things, right? Like where are we with that? And it's been a long time since I've turned on the news and we've heard conversations about that versus
Yeah.
what color outfit are they wearing or what did, like right now, in the last day, the big discourse is Trump at the national like the
Black
black journalists
prevention
group.
for press, the Black
Yeah,
Press Watch.
yeah,
Yeah.
like and all that, and that he left 35 minutes in, and then one side is saying like he was going to leave anyway, and he's busy. The other side saying he's floundering, but we're not talking about the issues that this campaign is here to decide. Like, okay, your guy won or your gal won. Now what? Now what? Right? Like, what are we going to
Yeah.
do for the country as a whole? How are we going to come together as a country? And I think that's important.
Yeah. Yeah. I did watch that, and that was it was entertaining to say the least. And unfortunately, I have to use that word. I'm sorry, because it's such a serious topic. But these are the times that we live in. It almost makes you feel like you kind of have to hold on to the wall sometimes, just because you never. And we also live too in an era where, uh, the one story will come out and then the next big story is out, and it's just story after story. So people are not really processing. And I just, anyways, you know what? I'm getting a headache thinking about it. Let's get back to writing and creativity. But how important, actually, how important would you say to any artist? How important is it for us to be active now in this time to make our voices heard? Whether again it is in writing or art or whatever people do to that, whatever is whatever a person's art is, how important is it right now to speak up um,
Incredibly important
as
as
an
always.
artist?
Incredibly important as always. It's what we talked about last time. I think one of the things we talked about when we ended the podcast last time was be an active participant in your life. If there's something that you don't like and you've done nothing to change it, don't complain.
Yeah,
Like you have the ability to lend your voice. Sometimes it feels like a Sisyphean task, right? Like you're never going to get it done. You're rolling up that boulder up the hill and it's always going to come down. But you have to try, you have to express yourself, you have to leave it out, you have to leave that mark. Think about it this way. When we think about societies that have been destroyed, extinguished, extinct, right? Like what we have left of those societies, the Incas, the Mayans, etc., is their art. That's how we know what they did, who they were, how they
yeah,
viewed the world, etc.
yeah.
There's no less importance for us to do it now. And I think it's incredibly important for artists to speak because number one, it'll affect our present, but it'll be a remnant of who we were for anybody who wants to know.
You've done a lot of work in the healthcare field, and I felt like I didn't, and if I did, my apologies. I'm sorry, but I, I I wanted to really kind of tackle that and what have you. Just ask you a few questions. What are some of the inequities that you've seen in healthcare in your field and what you've done and how that trickles down to me, to
So,
you, to our neighbors?
so you asked it and I didn't answer it. I went off on
Did
another
I ask
tangent with
this
something
last
else. You
time?
you asked it. I want to
Okay.
be fair to Carlos. He asked it.
Okay.
So in terms of inequities, so great. Like so, couple of maybe over 10 years ago, I was working with Medi-Medis. Medi-Medis are what we call dual eligibles.
Okay.
Okay. And we were starting a program in Los Angeles. And one thing that people didn't take into account was, and this is 10 years ago, it's gotten increasingly worse, is the homeless population, how to get the homeless population to start using some of their benefits in order to try to alleviate some of the issues that they're facing in terms of health. Um, and I'd like to say it's because it's the right thing to do, but if you're covering people, if they're using services, you prevent them from going in and getting hospitalized. So it's cheaper to keep people healthy, right? Um, so one thing they didn't understand is when you have to almost see it as an anthropologist. So this is back in 2013, even more than 10 years ago.
Okay.
Um, I don't want to name the health plans, but it was three big ones in LA,
Okay.
in the LA area. And in order to get the homeless people to start using some of their benefits, they were trying to talk to each of them, give them all like a phone or whatever, but they didn't realize because they didn't take the time to get to know them and understand the motivators and the environmental factors that there are people that they have appointed as leaders and they're the ones who decide if you use it or you're not. They're very influential. They're the social nodes. It's almost like you have to see it from an as an anthropologist in a way. And the plan didn't work. It fell through. Like the whole project just didn't work out because we didn't take the time to understand what caused it. Another thing, mental health we talked about. I'm part of a group of friends that feed the homeless here in Miami. We've done it for years. I haven't done it in a couple of years, but we used to do it for a good number of years because Camilla's house only had so many resources. So we got everybody that was away from there. And we saw the number increase exponentially again over the years because of nobody was taking mental health into account. Mental health and nutrition have only really been respected in healthcare in the last maybe 5 to 7 years. Before, like if you were crazy, right? Now you have mental health issues. So you have all of these younger professionals that end up on the streets because they were having mental health issues. They came back from the wars that we were having
Mm.
and they're on the streets and it's growing and it wasn't recognized. So one of the inequities that I've seen is uh, there's a much higher cost of living in certain cities. The people are not using benefits. Now we're taking mental health into consideration, and we're not. We address symptoms. We don't address root causes. So
Mm.
we're like, hey, let's.
Say that again. Say that loud and proud. That was
Sure,
a bar.
sure. I believe we address symptoms. I don't believe we address the root cause. So think about it like you're, I don't know, let's say you got a cold, right? So like, okay, take your chicken soup or whatever, but you don't know where you got it. You don't know if it's going to be bronchitis. You don't know if you're going to get pneumonia and then your lung collapses. Like what
Yeah.
caused it originally? And can you prevent the things from happening instead of just treating the symptoms, right? Um, and I think if we had a focus on that and the outcomes of those interventions, and I believe there's a shift towards that, but in my opinion, we are still focused on, I mean, that's why the pharmaceutical industry is as big as it is. Here, take this for this pain, but we don't know what's causing the pain. I had, I'll share with you, I've never had acne in my life. Last June, I developed shortness of breath and body acne out of nowhere, and nobody could explain it. And they put me on Accutane and they put me on different things, but that's just to treat the symptoms. After it's done, it may come back again. We don't know what happened. We don't know what caused it. And that makes me uneasy. And I think that that's an example of how in Western medicine it's again, it's deductive reasoning, right? Like doctors are great deductive reasoners. They're like, okay, you have this, you have this, you have this, you don't have this. If you have this, this, and this, then you may have this. And then they try. I mean, if you've been to a doctor, that's how they treat your symptoms. And it's shown in the business model of healthcare. And
Mm.
I would think that number one, healthcare needs to be more accessible to everyone. Like I said, from the homeless population to immigrants to people who are less who have less wealth. And we need to focus on root cause, right? Like what is it that's causing this? Because I think eventually it'll end up to a cure that's more permanent than one that's treatment, because treatment means you have to purchase a treatment over and over and over and over. And that's a sustainable business model.
Exactly. It's more business than anything. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Damn, you took the word out of my mouth. Damn.
Sorry, I'm sorry if I'm rambling here.
No, 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 no. You're doing great, my brother. It's incredible, and you know, I we talked about this. I'm a community health worker, and I've also worked in healthcare for well over 10 years now. It's it's even boggling to me, even when I meet some of my clients and let's say for example a lot of the immigrants that are coming over now and just trying to get them the resources that they need and some people or even people that I know out here that are already citizens and are older and people are losing their social security, people are losing their benefits, their Medicare, like left and right. So much is just changing. It's very scary. It's all sometimes it's just super political and it's all exactly that business. And it's just so unfortunate. Capitalism, bro, is a bitch. I mean, capitalism is a freaking bitch in
But
this
that's the thing.
country.
Like here's what I feel about capitalism and socialism and all. These are all systems, right? These are all systems that exist. But if the way capitalism works is you have to reinvest in the system. But if you're taking everything and putting it in your tax haven in the Bahamas,
Mm-hmm.
you're not improving the system. And there's that
Mm,
disparity of that unequal distribution of wealth, right? The system doesn't get brought up. People are just siphoning things out, and that's where you have that big divide between the have and the have-nots, right? Like again, I'm not discounting what you're saying, but in my view, it does like I don't know if we're seeing capitalism work the way the theory says it needs to work, right?
fair enough. Noted. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's scary even just to think what it will be like in because you and I are just spring chickens, you know. We still got a long time before we get there. But when we get
No, no.
there, are we gonna be okay? It's scary to think that. All right, let's move on from all that. Let's let's get
No, but
back to
I
the
will say this though, because I just watched The Grapes of Wrath, which is a
oh,
film, right? And it's funny because I listened to this podcast called Unspooled. Shout out to Unspooled, Paul Scheer, Amy Nicholson, really great movie podcast.
excellent.
And they were talking about, it's an old episode, but they were talking about it. And one of the reasons they didn't show The Grapes of Wrath is about an American family going through the Dust Bowl migration in the very early 1900s, right? And like the lack of wealth and coming in and unions, right? It's about the beginning of unionization, but they wouldn't show it in Soviet Russia. They
Okay,
wouldn't show that movie because uh, even though like it criticized the United States and stuff, I don't remember who it was. Was it Lenin or was it anyway, the leader wouldn't show it, and the reason was it showed that no matter how poor you were, you could still afford a car.
got
And
you.
they're like, we don't need to have this here and show it in this place, right? So
As the car
it's
turns on in the background, I'm sorry, I'm not cutting you off.
yeah, but it's true. Like, so they didn't want the Russian people to see that, okay, you're super poor, but in America you can still have a car.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's just crazy. Like
Crazy.
it's insane.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, 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 no. You're doing great. Uh, let's talk a little bit about what the future holds for you, my brother, in terms of creativity. I know you have open mic stuff coming up. You've been doing a slew of podcasts. You've been killing it with promotion and really letting the world know who Renzo is and just sharing yourself. We said last episode, vulnerability is a strength. You've been super vulnerable, not only here and open, but on other shows. And like I told you, even before the first interview, I did my research. I'm like, where he's been, what did they ask him? What's his vibe? Like, who's Renzo? Uh, so so dramatic. I'm so dramatic. Sorry for the drama, but I'm not
No
sorry.
worries, man.
But what's up with like what's your next creative endeavor? What are you thinking? Is there anything planned other than going to the WWE with the championship belt behind you?
Yeah, no, we're going to
What
my
would your
nephew.
wrestler name be?
Oh my God. The Wrens, I guess. We'll steal it from The Rock. I don't know.
The
Um,
Rens.
we're taking my
The
nephews when Rock
Miz.
comes down to South Florida.
Ah,
Or it's SmackDown actually, when SmackDown comes out to Florida. So I'm working my friend Kurt, who we talked about
yes.
last podcast.
Yep.
Him and I are going to start a podcast. It's going to be called Still Life, not necessarily because of my book, um, but it's the still life paintings, just like paintings of apples
Mm,
and flowers and stuff like
yeah, yeah,
that. We're going to be talking to, and by the way, you have an open invitation. We're going to be talking to different professionals in of all walks of life in different areas, different businesses about the impact that art plays in their life and having those conversations. So that's something that I feel very passionately about. So that should be starting soon. Other than that, I need a trip. I'm itching to travel. It's been just complicated, but
Can you
I
say that again and say Carlos needs one too? Let's just put that into the energy and the world.
I need a trip. The wanderlust is hitting. I'm itching to travel, and Carlos needs one
Wanderlust.
too. Carlos needs
Wanderlust.
one too.
That's the name of your new book. The Wanderlust.
Oh no, so I do have a title for the new poetry collection, and I think it's oh, Eyes Open Beneath the Mask.
Oh wait,
That's
is this like breaking news? Wait, what is
oh
going
yeah,
on?
I've never actually said it. So that's the title that I have for the next collection of poetry is going to be called Eyes Open Beneath the Mask, and we're
Eyes
going to be
open.
exploring themes of identity and authenticity and stuff like that.
What does the mask represent for you?
You know, it's Cuban Pete, Jim Carrey's earlier successes.
I hate you so much.
No, so the mask is
I set myself up for that.
so think about it. I think we are, I'm not saying we're lying, but we are versions of ourselves for different people, right?
Yeah,
And I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing. There's a Renzo that's in an office that would be different from a Renzo doing this podcast, which is different from a
absolutely.
Renzo with Gurbet, my girlfriend, which is different than Renzo from mom, right? I'm
Absolutely.
not saying they're all inauthentic, but we do put on these masks or these sections of our personality for different, with different context clues. I think and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's important to be aware of it. And this concept of having your eyes open beneath the mask to be aware of what you're doing, to be aware of what you're representing, that self-awareness, I think allows you to navigate your life that much better.
Gotcha.
And I think we would all benefit from keeping our eyes open beneath our mask, right? So it's an interesting line. It comes from a conversation I had with my friend Inigo, who wrote the Spanish foreword, and it stuck with me. I really like it as a book title.
You're giving me Janet Jackson, The Velvet Rope right now. I'm getting that from you. Have you heard the album?
Of course.
Oh, well, I'm just look, don't get sassy today. God, what's
Don't
wrong
don't
with you?
don't disrespect Janet, man.
Come
I mean,
on
we had
now.
that
Talk that talk, Renzo.
I chose Madonna over Janet last time, and it still burns me to this day. But I stand by it. I stand by it.
No, 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 no. Uh, finish the sentence, Renzo. Renzo. Finish this sentence, Renzo. Please, could you? Um, without art,
There is nothing
but with
without art.
art,
I mean, it sounds stupid, but there's everything. Like I think everything is tied to art. With art, you have a life experience. Like art is what allows you, to me, art is what inspires you, what you create, what you put out there, and it's the seasoning of life, right? We don't want bland white rice art like life. We want like that cilantro and garlic and all that's like art is all of these things that make you savor your experience for me.
finish this sentence, Mr. Renzo. Peru is, in case anyone's sitting on the fence, he's from Peru. If you didn't watch the last
Yeah,
episode,
yeah,
see, you
from
miss an
Peru.
episode, you miss a lot.
Peru is a home I no longer recognize, but it feels like home. And the reason for that is I didn't grow up there. Just quick story. When I went back to Peru, I didn't remember much of
Yeah, because you
anything.
left when you were what, five? Five,
Four. I left when I was
four,
four.
four, four,
Yeah,
four,
it
four.
was 4 to 5. And because I left in no, you're right. I left when I was 5. I left in 89. So my grandmother had this 4-story, 45 room house. Crazy thing. Just a crazy thing, right? It had like 3 kitchens. It had like a garden on the third floor, beneath La Azotea, where they kept chickens and stuff. Like I had this vague notion of this like magical Narnia type place. And when I went back to Peru and I went into my grandma's house for the first time in 25 years, Carlos, I knew where everything was. I knew that if I went this
Mm,
in this, like I recognized that entire place. There were some rooms that were boarded off because they were using them as storage and stuff.
yeah,
But I mean, to the point where they considered turning it into a boarding house for students to go to school because there were just so many rooms that the family wasn't using.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and just smelling the smell, being in the area, looking at the wood floors, I just knew where everything was. I knew where the
Mm,
staircase behind the kitchen leading to the azotea, the other kitchen was down there. It's this insane thing.
yeah.
So that to me represents Peru. Like I don't recognize it, but it was home. And when I'm there, it feels like home. I'm just rediscovering it all over again.
I want to share something really quick because as you're telling me this, I'm thinking of this. I keep having this reoccurring dream.
Mm.
But lately it doesn't matter if the plot changes in the dream, the location's always the same. And for the last several months, it's always my grandmother. You mentioned grandmother, so I started thinking about my grandmother Rosa. It's always her old apartment, and she passed in '93, but I can still remember. I mean, it's here in the same city. I can still remember this apartment like vividly, and en mi sueño, she's there. But not only is she there, like I can map out that place like it's nothing, and it's so vivid and so real that boggles my mind. I guess I say that to say that the idea of like los recuerdos, right? It's crazy the way our minds work and just those recuerdos, and we're so quick to remember. And I don't know. You mentioned grandmother, and it made me think about uh, my grandmother. By the way, Renzo, my mom wasn't happy with me with the last episode.
Oh,
Oh, she had a customer complaint.
let's fix that. Let's send it
I'm
to your
gonna
customer
I
service
don't even know
department.
if I want to fix it now that I know she's going to watch this one. I want to be petty, throw her all the way under the bus. Well, she felt like my dad got a little bit more shine. And she said, and all I got was, I'm a Taurus. What does that do for
No,
me, son?
no.
And I said, well, I'll tell you what it does for you, madam. It paints a picture. I love you, mom. I'm teasing.
Mrs. Reyes, if I may say, if you heard the episode all the way through, yes, you did get that. But then Carlos said our mothers are everything,
The closest thing to God is exactly
the
what I said.
closest thing to God.
El amor de la
Um,
madre y el padre, lo más cerca de papá.
yeah. So, but then you specifically said mom is everything, right? And I remember because if we have time, there's a poem here for
What
my
you got?
mom,
Are
about
you, are
my
you going to
mom.
read it? Please read it. Please bless us.
Yeah, it's called Paradise Pancakes. And it's an exploration of my mom was holding us down with she was the manager of an IHOP, very
Gotcha.
dangerous time. People when they're hitting it up at 2, 3 in the morning, it's because they're drunk out of the club. They're
Oh,
not the most respectful. We were also taking care of my grandmother who was bedridden, so my mom just wasn't sleeping. And also at that time, I wasn't really getting along with her too well, right? Or teenagers exploring boundaries, and our parents are our heroes, and they kind of become human and fall from the pedestal we put them on, and it's all of these complex emotions. So I wanted to explore. I wanted to, when I wrote it, I was trying to have empathy for my mother and remember um, to think about what she's going through before I, react to something that's going on. So it's called Paradise Pancakes. I'm trying to find.
you can find this on page 59 in the book.
Oh,
It's called Still, which is
okay.
available on Amazon and wherever books are sold. I want you to go get the hard copy. I want you to get the hard copy and show your support. But if you
I
can't,
appreciate you, brother.
there's a 99-cent Kindle version, you cheap bastards. No, I'm just joking. I'm just teasing. I don't know what everybody finances look like, but I'm
Oh
just
no,
being
yeah.
facetious, just to be facetious. This is Paradise Pancakes.
Paradise
Renzo,
Pancakes. So Carlos and Mrs. Reyes, if you'll indulge me, um, I'll go ahead. I usher cadavers to their seats at the corner IHOP, undertaking a $7 per hour smile so others can enjoy paradise with a side of pancakes. Since the boss has bestowed upon me every perk a manager has except salary, I work myself to death. Besides, the other servers on the graveyard shift need a constant vigil, always cooking up a scheme to avoid rolling up utensils and refilling coffee pots.
hmm,
When my shift is done, I limp to my Chevy. Its asphyxiated blue stands out in the empty parking lot. Driving home is the hardest part of my day. My mind wanders between daydreams and sleep. I don't know which I prefer. Miami holds nothing for me. I
mm,
never should have left Peru. The rent is due. Again, a new tumor, divorce hearings, more bills. Renzo hasn't called in 2 days. I have a son who knows how I should live. He learns from books, professors, and his father, but ignores what I've taught him. I need to feel he is still part of me, connected, even if that means he'll die buried under the pancakes offered to regulars with their coffee.
Mm, damn it, man. I'm what I'm envisioning in my head as you're rating this, especially the part where you said I need to feel he is still part of me, connected, or actually go before that, my fault. But he learns from books, professors, and his father, but ignores what I've taught him. Well, mom and dad, you can definitely say that applies to me, doesn't it?
I mean, I was obviously playing with like puns, right? Graveyard shift, parrot, like pank, undertaking, vigil, right? Like a lot of those words, right? But what I
Yeah,
wanted to do was sort of have some wordplay, but also, what does it mean to be buried in your own life, to feel like in that moment when you're sleep deprived, when you're stressed, when you have everything, all the weight of the world trying to hold up your family and feeling abandoned by them, feeling that like, would that cause you to lash out? Would that cause you to not be your best self, right?
yeah,
And what toll it takes on you because it's not just one day, it's years and years and years of taking from yourself and giving to others, especially that image, right? Still part of me connected. That's the umbilical cord
yeah,
going to you. Dude, like
yeah,
nothing, I'm not trying to say anything controversial, but if you think a kid is like a parasite, it's inside you and it needs your life essence to live. Mothers, I love children. I'm not saying anything like that, but there's a toll that women to give life willingly take to give part of themselves. And it seems like it, in my view, and it seems like when they become mothers, the ones that I know tend to continue that to the
yeah,
point where they forget they are individuals themselves. Like
yeah,
I've had conversations with my mom where I'm like, but who are you as a woman? Like, who are you as an individual, as a person? Like, you want this for me, but what do you want for yourself?
yeah,
Because I want you to have that joy too.
yeah,
I'll always be your son, but I would love for you to focus a little bit more on yourself. When I talked last time about it, when I said the lesson she taught me was to be selfless, but also to take some time and give to me. I learned that because that's what I wish she would do,
yeah.
right? Because I think that would fulfill her more. But
I feel like my mom's, if she isn't thinking that now, maybe she has been, maybe even in the last 15 years of her life. I'm sure. I mean, I can't speak for her, but I'm sure she's thought about that. Like, I wish I could. We talk about it sometimes. I wish I could do more. I wish I can travel more. I wish I can. I've always wondered like what her true passions were. She's always worked so hard since she was 15 years old. As my father, they've always been hard.
mm,
Their work ethic was bam, bam, bam. Um, bam, 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 Bigelow. So I always wonder, like, what she never really she tried to learn how to drive, but that didn't really go well. And what are your passions? What do you want to do? And I know she definitely misses just working, just going to work because she was great at what she did. We used to work together, my mom and I, at CVS
yeah.
Pharmacy. Yeah. I remember getting hired September of 2000, coming out of class, first year in college, and shout out to Marshall, who's still working there. He was the store manager. Shout out to Marshall. Shout out to Eileen. Um, and and he's like, "Hey, your mom says you got too much free time after class. You need a job. You start tomorrow." I worked with my mom for 2 years, and it was an interesting roller coaster of a ride. But my mom was damn good, and she was passionate about what she did. She enjoyed what she did. She was supervisor of cosmetics at CVS. She loved her coworkers. She loved getting up and making money, and I know that she misses doing that. So as I hear, I don't know, you just, yeah, it's just shout out to you, mom. You're so dope, and it is. I want to say this with you as my witness, but just like I hope you know, mom. Like honestly, like I don't want to reduce you to this, but I really do think you were born created to be the most incredible wife and mom. And there is a certain majesty in being a good wife and a good mom and a great mom. And to me, that's the most important job anyone has. So I think you knocked it out the ballpark. I know you'll be watching this. This is the part where you start crying. Cry. Cry,
Okay.
mom. Cry. Do the ugly cry. My mom's so cool. My mom and I, you used to go to, my mom took me to go see Mel C and Madonna.
Oh,
And
we're
yeah, oh, listen, we used to go clubbing together. My mom, I'm gonna end this with you because this ain't gonna be about you. This is about Still, which is available and everywhere. where you can get a book. It's about Renzo. And how dare you, Mrs. Reyes? How dare you?
No,
My
Mrs. Reyes
mom,
was the reason I'm back on this podcast. We'll give her her
the,
flowers right
the,
now.
the, listen, my mom, be careful what you ask for. But in my 20s, when I used to go out a lot, and after I came out and whatnot, it's like, be careful what you ask for. You want acceptance for your parents. But what happens when you get a phone call mid shift? Itch, we going out tonight? Because I'll come down to Hartford real quick. Mom, is this you? Who are you talking to? And I'm at
That's
the register with a customer. Damn it, mom. I love you, mom. Yeah, we used to talk to each other like that back in the day. I won't now because we want to
whoop that
respect
ass.
her. But my mom and I are best friends. And I want to know, what was your father's favorite movie?
Oh, El Cid. El Cid, Charlton Heston's version of El Cid,
Charlton
which
Heston. I
was
never heard of
a
Elsa.
Spanish night. It was with Sophia Loren and stuff. And I remember I
Wow.
managed to get it for him on DVD. I found it. Um, and he got it. So he loved that. And one of the things my dad and I always watch together are the Bond movies. Probably why I'm such a big James Bond fan.
You did
Um,
mention that the last time. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he showed it to me when I was probably way too young to be watching those Bond movies. But
What
it's
the
something that
octopussy is going on?
can you imagine? Can you imagine going like I was born the year of Octopussy. So imagine
Oh,
going in 1983 to a movie and it's called Octop or in 1963 you go to Goldfinger and it's like my name's Pussy Galore. What? Well, of
sorry.
course you are. I must be dreaming, right? Like it was cool, but no, like that was one of the things that my
It's
dad loved
funny.
wrestling and he watched it with me and my dad watched Bond movies with me and other than that, he was out flying. So
Mm,
it's something that to till he died, we always had like a yearly Bond marathon.
I love that.
Um, we
I
would
love
watch the movies chronologically beginning to end, but he really loved big Hollywood epics like the Cecil B. DeMille epics like um, Ben-Hur, Gone with
that.
the Wind.
Sounds like
But
my father.
El Cid was his favorite.
El Cid. Now, what did he listen to for music? And did he dance merengue
Oh,
and
dude,
salsa?
my dad's favorite bands were not even in Spanish. His favorite band was Parliament Funkadelic.
Oh, I didn't hear
Uh,
you.
Parliament Funkadelic. He loved Heartbreaker from them. That was my dad's favorite song. And he loved Blondie.
Drop
He
the
loved,
motherfucking mic. I apologize for my language, but I'm not recording from work today. I'm home. Drop the motherfucking mic. Come on, Dad. Come through, Funkadelic, Dad. I
that was his
love
favorite band.
Parliament. Oh,
That was
don't
his
get me
favorite.
started on Bootsy and George. Come on.
Yeah. So he loved
That's awesome.
Heartbreaker. Heartbreaker was his favorite song. He loved the bass line.
Did
And
he
he
go to
loved Blondie.
concerts? Did he go to concerts?
No,
No.
no. Like I think I told you, right? I don't know if I did. I'm sorry. I've been doing a lot of these podcasts, but one of the things that he did is like I'm playing guitar. I've been trying to learn guitar for years. My friend Josh. Yeah, I think I might have told you because we talked about
We
baby
talked
take
a
off
little
your
bit about
cool.
this. Yeah.
But then he walks into my room.
Yeah.
We're
He
gonna
told
go
me. Yep.
do something, and then he's just like he just plays guitar out of nowhere, and I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you didn't notice that I've been trying to learn for the last four
Yeah.
years, and you had knowledge that you didn't share. He's like, oh, I didn't think about it. So that was my dad knew how to play guitar. My dad played piano. Um, I mean, his mom was an opera singer, right? So my dad, even though he was really focused
Fascinating.
on the sciences and mathematics and all that stuff, he had this side that I don't even want to say he didn't explore because he must have because
Yeah.
he wasn't rusty when he did it. So he must have practiced somehow or his mind just worked that way. So no, his favorite bands that I remember were Parliament Funkadelic and Blondie. And then of course like Juan Luis Guerra. My dad loved Juan Luis Guerra.
Okay.
But we all do, I think, as Hispanics,
Pretty much. Yeah.
he's the unofficial president of the Dominican Republic. Um, no, I've been to when I went to Santo Domingo, I just walk around and like when he's there, people don't bother him, but they show him reverence. He's just
Okay.
like he's like the president. It's
Okay.
amazing.
Hay
Um,
mucho respeto para él.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are that Parliament Funkadelic.
Did your
My dad's
parents
yeah.
have a song?
Yes.
Would it be
I
okay for you to
actually
tell
have
us
a
what it was?
yeah, it was
And if I'm
Copacabana.
being too personal, you can tell me, you can
No,
just give me
I
the look.
honestly like I there's a poem there called Photograph
Yes.
that I wrote about a fictionalized version of how my parents met because my parents got divorced. So I was trying to figure out how two people that in theory loved each other got married and ended up it ended up not working. And it was an exploration of that. But um, my mom is like, I don't want you to read this poem. And I'm like, Mom, it's art. This is not exactly it. But she's like, oh,
Jeez,
what
I'm
will
looking
people
for it
think?
right
So
now.
yeah, yeah. But they met at a party and the song was Barry Manilow's Copacabana. And a year before my dad died,
Wow.
Barry Manilow came to Miami, so I took them both to see Barry Manilow.
Oh, bendito.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you
yeah.
mentioned that poem is called Photograph. It's on, if anybody has
Photograph.
the book and you better, it's on page 48. I want you guys to check that out. It's called Photograph. Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's really awesome. Barry Manilow, huh? You
Barry
can't go
Manilow.
wrong with the Manilow.
No, that was their
Um,
song.
last kind of couple rounds of questions here because I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you have to be gone by 5 o'clock, I believe you said. So, and you've
That's
been
true.
gracious with us and so with your time and what have you. Um, but I guess I want to ask another thing. What was I mean, you've had so much impactful things as a kid, and I know you've shared a lot. I mean, from leaving Peru, that's not only is that impactful as a kid, but that carries with you, right? Because there's trauma there, right? That may, I mean, and there might not still be, I don't know,
No,
um,
there always is.
but
There always
there
is.
always is a little trauma. What other impactful moments other than pops telling you, yeah, you got 100, but why didn't you do these extra point? What other impactful things like that really formed you? Because I know family is very big for you. I know the sense of community is very, very big for you. And I know education is super big for you. But what other, I guess, younger Renzo moments really defined you or helped define you or
Sure.
help mold you? I'm sorry, I'm wording this horribly.
So I might have said it last time, but the big one when I was young was, aside from coming from Peru to here, was when we didn't have enough money for my parents to eat as well as us. So they say, go ahead and eat. We already ate. That
Yeah,
was a big moment
that
for
was a
me.
big one. I remember you telling us that.
When my grandfather passed away, who was like my big father figure. Like my dad and I had a great relationship, but the person who taught me how to be a man was my grandfather because my dad was always flying. It wasn't that he was like like a deadbeat dad. My dad was working, but the one who was around was my grandfather.
Yeah.
Um, when he passed away, the family fell apart. He was my mom's dad, and her and her brother started kind of fighting, and we didn't see some of our cousins for years. Like my mom took it really bad. She regressed into childhood. I had to see that when I was like 12. And like she had a bit of a break. So that was hard to see. Another one was when I couldn't go to Cambridge for that program, and I had
Mm.
to figure out what to do with my life. I was a bit older then, but it still impacted me and molded me. After September 11th, when my parents lost their jobs and seeing them struggle, and that's what taught me that like there is no such thing as safety. It took me a while to reconcile it, but that's what taught me. And you're not too good to clean offices. You're not too good to wait tables. You're not too good. Like every job has honor, right? Um, those are the ones that come to mind right now, those.
Did you ever have any rebel years? Did you allow yourself to have
Yeah,
any
when I was like
rebel moments?
after 30. I wasn't the rebel, but the thing was, so my mom never gave me a curfew because I'm like, I'm gonna be doing this and this and this with these people. Okay. Um, I couldn't stand cigarettes, so I didn't really do drugs because smoking, period. So I didn't do that. My first big rebellious act was to say I'm giving up engineering and I'm gonna go do poetry. So even
Mm.
in that, I'm a nerd, right? Like I'm like, no, I will do poetry now. That's my rebellion. Um, I became much more of a rebel when I was older because I think I had a more established sense of self. And then I knew what to rebel against. I was just didn't know who I was, so I was just going along with whatever. I respect authority until I realized that authority without responsibility is just oppressive, you know. You have to have a responsibility to your people. And as somebody who's older, I definitely like started jumping out of planes more, started paragliding more, started climbing like summiting mountains. You can't see that, but there's a couple of things there. Um, hell, like to write a poetry book is to rebel against standard norms, man. Like you're an executive, you don't do this. I'm like, I do what I want, when I want,
Mm,
with who I want, as long as I don't hurt anybody. You know, I'm a very big proponent that my rights end where yours begin, right? So I believe I have the freedom to do whatever I want as long as I'm not infringing on the happiness of others, and then it's a conversation and a dialogue, right? Does that make sense?
absolutely. Do you face any discrimination on any level?
I used to. I used to. I was isolated from it for a long time
Okay.
growing up in Miami.
Okay.
But then in college, I kind of dated a girl that I couldn't meet her parents because I was good enough to date, but not good enough for her parents to meet me, and I didn't understand why. And then later they
Okay.
were like um very conservative, and I'm an immigrant and all that
Okay.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
Then I don't know if we talked about this when I was in South Carolina on a consulting gig. I was just told to go back where I came from.
Ugh.
Um, it was North Carolina. It was Raleigh-Durham. Sorry. And it was in a Starbucks, and I lashed out, and then my black coworker took me aside and said, like, hey, you might not be used to this, but blah, blah, blah. Like, you don't know if this dude has a gun or, and now I have more patience, right? Because something aside from that, because I was brought up in a place where it wasn't an issue, like my response was indignation. How dare you address me this way? And now
Mm,
I'm at a point where I'm like, why, what's going on in your life that makes you want to reach out to me in this way?
mm, mm-hmm,
Instead of like connecting or whatever. I'm not even in front of you in line. Like,
mm-hmm,
I'm not
mm-hmm.
even wearing a badass suit. That's what I'm
Yeah,
doing.
yeah, yeah.
I want some, I don't even drink coffee. I don't like bitter things. I'm drinking tea, getting some tea. Um, and then there's that, right? And I'm also a Hispanic man in an industry. And there's those issues, but I also know that there are people that deal with it more than I. So for example, like my female colleagues, I realized that when we were at a like a gathering or whatever, we're talking and somebody comes and then they address me, even though they might be like a VP or whatever, and they're addressing me because I'm a guy, and then they're talking to them through
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
I didn't realize the privilege that I was enjoying until I'm like, oh, it hit me. Oh.
Mm,
And I'm like, and I went up to him like, do they always do? She's like, yeah, they always did that. So yeah, there's discrimination, but I believe that I'm very lucky that I have enough of a sense of self and enough of a place of privilege where I can question it, deconstruct it, and oppose it if I need to. And the other thing is let it wash over me because it doesn't affect me, you know?
yeah,
Like they don't pay my bills, they're not my loved ones. I'm
yeah,
maybe the only thing I would like to do is engage them in dialogue to see what causes it and maybe give them maybe challenge their conceptions.
yeah,
But that's different from being hurt.
yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I got to go back to one comment you made about being in the South. You know, you never know who has a gun or not, and you want to go into that natural defensive
Oh,
mode.
it's
But
anywhere now.
it's
Yeah.
anywhere now. Yeah. I can identify with that but just hearing the homophobic uh, slurs under people's breath. I remember Harry can testify to some, this is like 2014. And I was sitting at a bar and grill in Clearwater, and it was just the most uncomfortable. And I knew the bartender because we were staying at that resort and we'd been there. So there was rapport and there was just so many comments. I didn't know what to do. So I was just like, fuck it, just buy them all around a shot. Hey, fellas, shoot this. And Harry's like, you don't say anything, you keep your mouth shut. You're in Florida. You hear what goes down all the time. Trayvon Martin, we're coming off the cusp of that thing. Like motherfuckers down there, they don't give a fuck. They'll shoot first and ask questions later. So you don't come slip out the tongue. I pray that we can all just fucking tolerate each other. We're all here for such a small time, and there's
Not even
8
tolerate.
billion of us.
Let's enjoy each other, man. Like
There's
let's
8
enjoy the people
billion
that
of
we
us.
see. You get what I'm saying? Like I'll give you another quick example. I found out after a couple of years, I worked at this place that was like Sodom and Gomorrah in the
Oh,
sense that
Jesus.
everybody was sleeping with everybody. The CEO was the HR rep. The CEO was the owner, and the HR rep is his ex-wife's sister. So she hid any of this whole like crazy nepotism crazy company, right? And
Jeez.
I found out a couple of years later that
I'm bringing him on the podcast next week.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just, I'm just
Well,
teasing.
they thought I was gay, right?
Oh,
And they thought I was gay because I dressed well, I smelled nice, and I didn't sleep with any of the older executives that wanted to sleep with me. And I was like, and they were like, "Oh, did you take?" I'm like, "No, I don't. It's not offensive to me. So why would I take offense for them
yeah,
to consider me being gay? I'm not, but I
yeah,
don't see it as offensive, right?"
yeah.
And it's that even in that statement, my friend showed some biases that they had, right? Like, aren't you offended by it? Like they told me it's like, oh, so I would get like a riled up or like joke around or make something like, no, like, no, like it is what it is. I'm just not. But it's isn't it funny that
Yeah.
I must be gay if I didn't sleep with them or I took care of myself or whatever.
Perceptions,
Like those
man.
conceptions, like that
Yeah.
explanation to me was it just blew my mind instead of just you could
Yeah.
ask me while I was there. Who do you enjoy? I just never mixed business
I
with
tell
pleasure,
you.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 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 definitely never, ever, ever, ever. Hey, I want to remind everybody in case you are sitting on a fence, and Madonna once said a very sharp fence, we hope. Don't forget that still is the book. Renzo's that guy. He has made an incredible impression on us. You can get this book anywhere books are sold, Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. I can't say it enough. Get the hardcover. There's nothing better, bro. I haven't walked into a library proper in so many years, but there's nothing better than like the smell of the book, flipping through the book, just or even in an old like elementary school. But remember those old scents that would come from there, like just the familiarity. I don't know. It's just whole different energy.
Dude,
But I say
you
all that to say
remember
there's nothing better than flipping through the pages and just I love a good book.
you
Um,
remember the Scholastic Book Fair, like when we were kids?
You're gonna shut your mouth right now, young
That
man.
was the
Yes, I do.
best. That was the
Yes, I
best.
do. Did wait? Is that the with the Pizza Hut where you did you get
Well, you also got you read and you got pizza, but it was the book fair, and I
the
remember that
book
was
fair?
like
Yeah,
scary stories to read in the dark with the crazy
yeah,
drawings and stuff.
yeah,
Like you
yeah.
just brought me back.
Because the Scholastic would it was like the magazine to promote all the books that we would. Yeah. Oh my God, we're spring chickens. That's all I can
Um,
say. My brother, I can't thank you enough. Um, you're definitely gonna have to come back. I'm sorry. At this point, he's gonna be like, "Look, you're gonna have to pay me." Listen,
no,
I
not at
can't.
all, dude.
You
I want to meet
resonated.
Jasmine. I want to meet Harry. I
You
would
want to
love to
meet
talk to you
Jasmine?
about the
Shout out to
different things.
Jasmine. Shout out to Harry. Shout out to everyone who is listening via the apps or watching on YouTube. But you have definitely tapped into something with everyone that I know and everyone's that I've, well, not everyone that I know, but everyone that has told me something, whether it's my colleagues at work, the girls loved you. They thought this was an incredible episode. Harry just thinks the world of you. He purchased the book. My mom went out and purchased the book. I want all of them to start sending me a picture with the book so I can send it to you and be like,
Oh
yo,
man,
we're holding
that's
you down out here in Massachusetts.
the
Um,
the the only thing I'll ask is if you guys read the book and you enjoyed it, just leave an Amazon review because it helps. I'll tell your audience my end goal with this. I want to do a TED Talk on art as a means of empathy and bridging collaboration and analysis. And I need to get more followers and get more book reviews and all that stuff. So if you truly enjoyed it, please
support,
leave an honest review.
leave an
Let me know what
honest
you think. If
review.
you can do that on Amazon, I'd really appreciate it.
Leave a review when you buy the book. I left my review. I think I even attached the video of like the episode. I'm like, yo, I can only show you better than I can tell you. But please support, and support all the artists that you can in your life.
Yes.
Because it's very it's we're so quick to run out and grab the latest this brand, this, that, the other. We're quick to fucking flip through Hulu to find, but if you got people in your life that are creating things, go support them because honestly, it matters to us. But but we need it, man. We need it. We need to get the word out there. The word on the curb is still. By the way, I don't know if you know. I don't expect you to know this, but real quick, if I can just enlighten you real quick to nonsense pop up video. So the video promotion that I did with J Lo, I had the Mariah Carey song playing in the background. Mariah Carey doesn't really care for J Lo that
I
much,
know.
which is the irony that I put. And
She
then
still doesn't she still doesn't know who she is. Still doesn't know who she is.
man. So is that guy, yo. You're coming back to the lounge. But the end of the video is Jennifer Lopez's song Still. which honestly is my favorite J-Lo song. Have you heard that song?
You told me to listen to it. I did.
It's funky. I'm like, who is this? I don't know, whatever. I'm gonna challenge you to this. This is your homework. I want you to go check out the album called How I Do. It's by an incredible artist named Reese, who is featured as well on Los's Lounge podcast. She is the bee's knees. It's called How I Do. And if you see the 2001 version, cool. But she just re-released it. It's called How I Do Reset. And she's kind of it's the same thing, but just she's added some new sounds, added some new funks, some ad libs, and she has another wonderful album called Refried Mac and Black Girls Rock. So I want to encourage you to check that out. And I don't know if I asked this to you the last time. Q-Tip, The Renaissance. Have you heard that?
Yeah. Yes, so I didn't say I had because you were giving that knowledge, but of course, like I've
Oh,
heard
I don't
most
know.
of Q-Tip
You
stuff.
never know.
Yeah.
You never don't get
No,
sassy. You've been
but
very sassy
tell
today,
me,
Renzo. You've been
tell,
so
and
sassy.
but no, like
Yes.
what
My
was it?
brother Renzo. My
Three
brother Renzo.
snaps in a Z formation.
In
But
living color. I
in
love it.
living color.
I
But
remember.
no, like Q-Tip is fantastic. But any recommendations you got? Because I might have missed one. But
No,
yeah,
no,
of course
perfect.
I held the Renaissance. Yeah, so
Next
good.
time you come back on, please do. We have to have a conversation about Tribe Called Quest. I'm reserving that one with Harry.
Okay.
So we're gonna make
Okay.
sure that Harry and
Oh, that's gonna be
Jasmine
so
are on.
much fun.
It'll
So
be
much fun.
incredible. I want to thank you so much. I want to give a big up to our sponsors over at Magic Mind, magicmind.com. Please enter promo code Los Lounge Pod. That's LOSLOUNGE POD. Claim your free 3 sample pack now. A big shout out to them. Big shout out to Harry. Big up to Jasmine. Renzo, do me a favor. Tell your lovely girlfriend, tell your beloved, I said thank you.
I will.
And for the support. Send her all my best. My brother, I can't thank you enough. Do you have any closing words? Can you tell everyone once again
Yeah,
where to
I
find
want to
you?
let everybody know that Carlos practices what he preaches. We've actually hit it off. We communicate often. We're becoming good friends off
Yes, sir.
off of the pod. It's just you're
Yes,
just a
sir.
good dude. I'm so glad I want you again, we're going to talk about your ideas for creating a book or all that stuff and whatever I can do to help you with that. I'm just so grateful. Not just for the platform and for all the nice things that you keep telling me that people are saying, but just to know you, man. I appreciate it. I'm happy for the friendship that's developing, and I can't wait to see where you go from here too.
Oh, thank
So
you. I accept that.
thank you.
Thank you, brother. Likewise, man. I appreciate you and your time and everything that you're doing. Um, I mean, just being here on my show, it means the world. And thank you for sharing your art and just you're killing it, Renzo. I'm inspired by you, brother. And you said this the last time. I hope we can make a connection. And I've just, man, listen, you certainly have definitely tapped into a zeitgeist with us over here, especially with Harry and I. So I appreciate you and I thank you. I really
And
do.
I'll leave you a little bonus. If you like lingerie, read tax return.
Jesus Christ, what a way to end it, Renzo. Lingerie page, I forgot what it was, but it's on the book. Come on now.
Read tax return, and if you, of course, you know Spanish, you can read Declaración de Impuestos because it is the most polite fuck you I've ever written.
Wait, say that again in Spanish. ¿La qué?
Declaración de Impuestos, tax return.
Declaración de impuestos.
hmm It's the most polite fuck you I've ever written, and I think that you would enjoy it based on what we talked about.
But it's the way it rolls off his tongue, the way he says it. I'm over here struggling and just even reading English words. This is ridiculous. Los's Lounge podcast. We did it again. Renzo's in the building. Go check him out. The book is available where books are sold. Follow him on social media. And this is Carlos, otherwise known as Los. And I thank everybody for watching. God bless you all. And Renzo, once again, thank you.
Thank you, brother. I
Thank you,
appreciate you.
brother. Peace. Oh, I don't know if my mouse thing is working, but technological. I tell you. I'll talk to you soon, my brother.
Yeah, man. I'll talk to you. Hey, thanks again.
Thank you, my
Talk
brother.
to you later.
Talk to you
Bye.
later.